네, 항상 응원해주시는 팬분들하고 저희 지원 가득하게 해주시는 사무국분들 너무너무 고맙고요. 이끌어주시는 감독님 너무너무 고마운 것 같습니다.
만족하지 않고 더 열심히 해서 더 상위권 바라볼 수 있게 열심히 노력하겠습니다.
시즌 초반은 잘 간 것 같은데 항상 지금이 위기였다는 걸 저희 모두가 이제 경험상으로 알기 때문에 지금부터 더 열심히 해야 될 것 같아요. 더 좋은 모습 보여드리려고 다 열심히 하고 있고 모두가 다 고생하고 있으니까 앞으로도 더 좋은 경기력 보여드리겠습니다.
Welcome back, guys. Was a bit of a short break that we did have there, only about 20 minutes, just enough time for me and Papa to stuff our faces with a little bit of fried rice, and then get right back here on the broadcast to cast Gen.G up against Hanwha Life Esports. And on paper, you think, okay, former Samsung, Gen.G is really good, Ruler's popping off, he's the big AD carry, the marksman of the LCK, but Hanwha Life slowly but surely moving their way up to the top ranks of LCK.
And while we may be gouging on the fried rice, it's an all-you-can-eat buffet of League of Legends the last 3 days, 18 games in 3 days, enough schedule for some of these teams. Hanwha Life taking on Gen.G. A lot's changed since the first time these two teams met. If you remember all the way back, Valdez, there was a Funnel Kaiser with 14 kills. There was a Heimerdinger. It was crazy. NALCS would understand it. We did not. But we zoom all the way forward. In that time, Gen.G has gone from consensus, our best team in the first couple of weeks, to struggling, Valdez. I think Gen.G is looking pretty rough around the edges, whatever lineup they start. And Hanwha Life have gone from being, you know, a middle-of-the-pack team to one of our big contenders.
Yeah, Hanwha Life slowly but surely. Everybody questions, okay, Rocks Tigers, they were middle of the pack. They made playoffs, right? They're pretty good, but they were not very consistent. But then I feel like the big org came in, the big sponsor. They have a lot more money. They have this big team bus. They have air purifiers in the team house. It seems like everything is really pulling together for this team. They're beginning to shore up one of their big weaknesses, which was consistency. And Seongwon, in particular, his consistency in the jungle. And now, all of a sudden, they're a really top team here.
And I actually read the team a bit differently in that I understand where you get the idea of inconsistency. I thought they were very consistent, but the lines were different. They would beat the teams below them, and whenever they would face a traditional contender, they'd fall apart. 2-0, 2-0. This season, they're winning those games. They're beating top teams. They beat both the teams in our first series, FLICKR and KT, in the first round robin. If they take 2 or 3 wins off top teams, top 3, top 2, I don't think they're going to be leading the charge, but they're definitely going to play playoffs if they repeat their first round robin performance and back it up with a solid second round robin performance.
Yeah, I mean, you take away those 2 wins, and they kind of look like Rocks Tigers from last split, right? So definitely
a win away from playoffs.
Yeah,
last split.
Very, very close in that time, and now we might just have them taking a spot away from one of the bigger teams, as we were talking about before, you know, the SKTs, the KTs of the world, the King Zones of the world. But either way, guys, let's talk about this matchup first off. Hanwha Life Esports over here on the left side. And getting huge cheers from the crowd. It looks like they even have more fans nowadays.
The word is that around Hanwha Life, the big insurance company, is that this is the hot ticket. Everyone wants to talk at the water cooler about the esports team, and while they sponsored them in spring, not as a name sponsor, they were a minor sponsor of the Rocks Tigers. Now as the name sponsor, they got a lot to talk about. This is a good team, and not with names that really anyone who doesn't play close attention to the LCK would know. I think if you asked an NA or an EU fan, name a player from Hanwha Life, first they would ask what a Hanwha Life is, and secondly, they would know none of their players even if you told them the names, and that is the thing that they're breaking against. But they come in third. the org made a big bet, betting on the Rocks Tigers, who were close but no cigar. This season, they look like they're the real deal.
Yep, that's the point that we have up in the top right. Hanwha Life Insurance's choice was correct, and yeah, I mean, you could have looked at other teams, even Griffin coming in. A lot of people weren't sure where they were going to fall. They're up at the top, but former Rocks Tigers definitely a pretty good team to land upon, and they're doing even better with your support. They're going to be up against Gen.G Esports over here on the right side. And, well, I mean, they looked really good when they first came in. They were on a 4-game winning streak. Up against Hanwha Life was their 4th win, actually. But then they suffered losses to KT and FLICKR and Griffin in the span of 3 weeks, 2 weeks, and all of a sudden, question marks begin to arise about this team and how good are they really?
And when they were sitting at 5-1, I started seeing some trends in their drop. When they were no longer getting Ezreal, Tom, Kench every game, I wondered what else did they have, and they had the Zyra Khan. I'm like, excellent. But then Zyra Khan became a ban, not so much about how good they were at it, but because the funnel was starting to become a thing. And suddenly, the fallback from there was protect the Cogmore. It was these really weird comps that don't fit the meta, and it almost feels like they went from being this last bastion of hope for the marksman comps into, well, that's kind of all we know. That's all we can default to. Haru's also quietened down after being just all over the place in the early weeks. And now the question goes away from, are they ahead of the meta or behind? Right now, it feels like they're almost parallel and just not being able to play up to the standards of other teams.
Kive was having a ball of a time over there in the booth. I wonder what was going on. I think this is support from Hanwha Life Insurance coming on down and saying, hey, we support our team in more than just a sponsor. We come down to the studio, we help them out and cheer for them. Let's take a look at Hanwha Life Esports in terms of the numbers.
Oh, we got a new stat.
Yeah, her percentage. I don't even want to delve into what that means, Papa.
We still don't know for sure what the Herald's gender is, so this is getting awkward, but the her percentage is 68.4%. So that means they're getting the Rift Herald and unleashing it, and Rift Herald is pretty strong right now.
Where do they come up with these abbreviations?
It's the first 3 letter of Herald.
It could have easily been RH percentage, but instead they went with her percentage.
Look,
I don't know, Papa.
I'm just saying, Hanwha Life Esports like to conquer Geraldine and unleash her on the map. That's what they like to do.
Yeah, agreed.
I'm just saying.
They're really good at that, and they get a lot of heralds here on the map. And looking over at Gen.G in 4th place only because of 1 indicator point. They're 1 game loss behind Hanwha Life. Slowly but surely pressuring the opponents. They like to take it slow. They're kind of the better version of Jin Air. Not exactly in terms of play style, but in terms of the way that the games go. It kind of goes longer. They play for the later game, and they're using marksmen all the time, so it kind of makes sense.
Their amazing stat earlier in the season was how short their games are. They were defying kind of what we were seeing. But you know what we're seeing, Valdez? Today, yesterday, the day before, the games are getting longer and longer because of the 8-13 changes. This is one of the budding superstars. It feels like Sang-yoon is known for his streaming personality, but Lauva's known for the business he does on the Rift, and he does it with innovation. He was the first Fizz we had. There'd be a Galio that he debuted in spring season. He has been their spearhead, as coined by SpoTV, and he is one of our rising mid lane stars next to the bigger names like Chovy and Yuka.
Yep. I'm glad you mentioned the innovation, right? He can play the Swain, he can play the Zoe, do very well at it. Even Lulu and Talia in the mid lane. He has a couple of wins and 0 losses on those 2 picks. But 2 games of Syndra, the 1 game of Fizz, the Talon, and even TF. Twisted Fate returning into the mid lane. Did take a loss on that one, but, the innovation is there, the idea is there, and he can play a lot of different picks, kind of like a mini Kuro coming up in his own right.
And look, it's not Viper versus Ruler like we got the last time out, but it's basically the same. Sang-yoon, while he's played some Ezreal, he has been defaulting to Ryze and Vladimir for the majority of the season. Ruler is still saying no to those new meta picks, but they keep going on this kind of meager results recently. Maybe he'll have to change his tune. At this point, he wears it on his sleeve and says, I am the last of the marksmen. If some of those marksmen, I'm looking at the Ezreal and the Zyra answered, the results have definitely varied a lot more.
They definitely have. I, in particular, was not very impressed by his Kog'Maw games, not because of his mechanics. I mean, he loves to stomp solo queue with Kog'Maw. We saw a lot of that before, actually, the spring season of this year. But, yeah, I don't know. I just don't know about it in the meta. You have so much stuff that's going to dive on top of you, very aggressive champions like Kog'Maw, even with the Tom Kent, not able to output really consistent damage to win you the game. I feel like the slipperier, more slippery 80 carries, that's a better way to put it, are better in this meta, right? The Xayah, the Ezreal. If you're going to play one that's going to stand and deliver, probably the Varus would be your best bet, maybe not the Kog'Maw. So I'd like to see him return to some of those picks that you do see down on the bottom side. Even the Ashe showing pretty good play there for him.
They get hurt in the drafting phase, though, Valdez, because the flex picks don't mean as much when you know that Ruler will only play marksman. So they don't pull off red side drafts as well as everyone else. They open up on red side. We're going to get into it in just a moment.
Here we go. Hanwha Life Esports going to start on the blue side here with Gen.G on the red. Lava, he's the only one wearing the jacket. He's kind of copying FLICKR there for his team. FLICKR, the only one that wears the SKT jacket.
We're just lucky that it's short-sleeved shirts as a uniform because it's hot in Seoul and also here at the Nexon Arena. The Gen.G bans, will they just be the stock standard or will they have to get more targeted against Hanwha Life? Red side bans recently, if you're just joining us for the first time in a couple of days. Aatrox, the Talia is another big ticket item, and the Nocturne. Usually all three have to be banned on the red side, so on the blue side you get to play and really fish for a first pick that the enemy can't respond to so well, as Emperor is being shown in the booth, one of the coaches here for Hanwha Life.
Looks really happy. Should be happy. You know, he's leading his team, along with the rest of the coaching staff, to a very successful summer so far. We'll see if they can keep it up here. Continuing into the draft, going to even take away the Swain. With Galio and Swain bans, might consider a Zoe first pick, but that said, Juwani still leaves a mark in your minds. A couple of things that could be taken here first for Hanwha Life.
Talia also a big option. It's going to be banned away. Vladimir is one they've used to a pretty decent extent this season. It's not an inspiring first pick. You can just take Shen and reevaluate later. The Zoe has today been high priority after being pretty low priority since Rift Rivals. They're just going to first pick it. They're going to pick for Lava with a first pick. We'll see what Gen.G's answer will be. Traditionally, earlier in the season, this would be Galio time for the side of Gen.G, and it might even be a really early invitation for the Doctor.
Yeah, the Doctor doesn't really care about that, but the one thing that was left open that was banned a lot in the last series is the Rakan, and with Xayah not banned either, they might just return to a bit of funnel stray. You know, that is still available. It's a little bit less popular now in the LCK, but with the Rakan picked, it definitely leaves some questions.
In the pre-Rift Rivals week, first week we had on 8-12, Western only week, we would see Xayah picked away from Rakan very often, try to deny the funnel, but also the power of the two. See if Hanwha Life are going hunting for a Rakan. We will. The Leona counterpick to the support Rakan comes in. Will we see the Xayah takeaway or not? In metas past, we actually had Sungyun as one of the teams. Rox Tigers one of the teams that would just pick Sungyun, the Xayah, and it didn't matter whether you got the Rakan. They were just a really good Xayah team.
Ooh.
But they're going to look it over, and they might actually just be showing a lot about their comp very early, or maybe there's some flex going on, because they now have the Kled and the Zoe. Are these just going to be the mid and top lane or not? That is the question.
You would have to guess the Kled into the Mundo, try to get really aggressive up there. And, well, the Xayah was left available, no counter pick, so we will have that funnel going on. You see Ruler nodding his head. He's like, okay, looks like we have game one in the bag. We've seen this be very, very successful in the past here at LCK, so I don't blame them for their confidence.
And in your head, you just think Galio Camille would just round out the job, but the Galio's banned, so they wouldn't be able to pull off the Xayah Rakan Galio. It would be the cleanest. In terms of picks into the Zoe, Irelia is one of the ones we used to see, but I think it's unlikely to be seen here. If you look at Fly's effective champion pool, which predictably has been on the smaller side, Lulu is his most played, and he's played it since the nerf to the shield duration. And then from there, it's really not much. Swain, Ornn, you know, some of these picks that he's paid but not really shown much on. I wonder if he would just go Lulu as a potential insurance play for both the Xayah and the Mundo, but that's actually going to be banned, and they're saying, Fly, show us something new. I wonder what that new represents for Fly.
Yeah, he'll definitely have to think of something quick. Morgana's still left available. If they do end up doing the funnel and throwing Ruler into the mid lane, could get interesting down there with one they want to pick, but the Vel'Koz also going to be taken away here. I think this next pick should answer a couple of the questions we've been asking about Gen.G's comp.
Show their medal here, one way or the other. Looks like they're going to be drafting jungle, taking the Kindred, so last pick for Fly. It's going to be the decision here by Gen.G. Hanwha Life Esports. They're not really respecting funnel. There's been no funnel post-Rift Rivals, and Gen.G haven't been a big funnel team to begin with. But Hanwha Life still do have incomplete information, so we're waiting to see if any shenanigans are happening with the Zoe or the Kled. Heavily expecting it to be.
Ooh, there it is.
There's the shenanigans. We're going full Rogue Warriors with this draft.
Oh, there it is too. The Nunu even coming through.
We're really Rogue Warriors over here.
Didn't he get nerfed on 813?
It's a jungle Nunu. It's an actual. This is probably not good. Well, actually, no. It could still be funnel. And yes, this strategy was direct target nerfed. They're the ones to pull the funnel first. It's almost like the party invitations going out one way or the other. Gen.G looks at it. What are they going to draft? This would be an old favorite from Fly. If they go Talon, they won't. They go Rise. Oh boy, so much going on in the draft now. They decide to pull a Nunu Karthus funnel post-nerf on the side of Hanwha Life. If they want it, no, they're going to once again move away. Now it's back to standard. There's so much going on.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen the combination of the Kled and the Karthus, obviously, over at Rift Rivals, but it wasn't exactly like this. The Kled was in the mid lane.
So this is going to be just smite Karthus in the bot lane like Rogue Warriors, and they're actually just going to straight try to counter jungle the Kindred with the Nunu. This is a good way to get rid of marks, but just a straight jungle Nunu after Nunu nerfs is very peculiar, but it does still have some degree of synergy with the Karthus.
It definitely feels very Hanwha Life. I feel like this is one of the things that we haven't mentioned too much about them today. They're definitely an innovator as a team, too. It's not just Lava in the mid lane. They like to do weird things, right? They were the team that took a bunch of unsealed spellbooks and was teleporting into the top lane, doing, you know, rotations with the bottom duo, going into the top side,
but
getting
it's so
early
weird
turret.
about us, because we're still
really weird.
We're still not clear. You could have bot lane Zoe with the Leona and try to go for the follow-up CC chains and get burst. That would be against what SMLZ and Rogue Warriors do. You could have the mid lane Karthus Nunu or just Karthus Leona as a lane, but that seems like the synergy isn't fantastic. So we've talked about so much spitballing. For once, we're going to have to sit back. I'm going to have to shut my mouth, and we're going to have to wait and see what Hanwha Life want to do, because Nunu on the Rift is not what I expected today.
Hanwha Life, they've come in prepared up against Gen.G, that's for sure. Seonghwan had a little bit of a grin on his face. I think he knows as well as we do that nobody was expecting the Nunu to be picked last here. The Karthus was auto-locked, which we were like, okay, that makes sense. And then the Nunu follow-up, we were just dumbfounded. We're going to have to wait and see how it's going to go down. Game number 1 is going to start here. Gen.G up against Hanwha Life. Well, the Hanwha Life fans still working out their cheer. We have a couple oh, no.
He tried to cancel his dance, and he flashed. Well,
that is awkward.
That is so big also, because he's Nunu. All he does is counter jungle.
He needs to flash the wall, and now he doesn't have a flash. I've actually never had that happen in my career as a League of Legends commentator. Thank you, Seonghwan, for giving me a first tonight.
Wow. Well, that's depressing. We do get some confirmation. It will be the Zoe bot lane with the Leona for, well, if one CC hits, that could hurt a lot. That's a different take, and we're going to have Karthus Nunu. It's not Rogue Warriors, even though it has a Kled and a Smite Karthus in it. I feel like Hanwha Life are saying, we're going to go for the Korean version. The heavily nerfed Nunu Karthus.
This is just really weird stuff that you would not expect.
Songwon changed over to Exhaust to confirm that he is on follow duty. Thank you for that confirmation. So no double smite on the side of Hanwha Life. So much went on in this draft, and they settled on Nunu Karthus. To me, the biggest surprise is that the moment they saw Nunu Karthus, obviously Gen.G knew some shenanigans were going to happen. The Ryze mid lane is a bit of a peculiar choice. Ryze Kindred have a lot of ganking synergy with the instant cast CC into Kindred's newly buffed power. Actually being able to push takes so much longer for the Ryze that we see a lot more bot lane Ryze with the support to help the push than we do the mid lane Ryze.
Haru getting frisky already. This Kindred, they're going to lock down the Karthus. Already the exhaust is going to be burned. As well, there you have it. Nicely done by Haru.
Haru continues to go for the counter jungle here. Any camps he can take away would be so big.
Ooh, nice smite there, takes it away. Takes a bunch of the small Raptors with him. Haru knowing exactly what to do against this composition. Nunu not much more than a snowball.
And the Kindred is a new variable to be introduced into the funnel situation. It's the first time we've had a funnel game with a Kindred in it. Ability to contest camps, and also, like we mentioned, the Ryze seems to mostly have been taken by the ability to try to get a kill in transition. Songwon only now pinging level 2. He's got no summoners because he decided to use Flash at level 1.
It was, I'm sure there's definitely some people out there that are like, no, they don't get it. He's a pro gamer. He was doing it for this reason. But actually, there was zero reason for him to use it there, unless he was just styling on his opponents.
I must admit, there was a time when I was playing a lot of normal games that you would get into some matchmaking, matchmaking problems, and I would play League of Legends hard mode where I choose to flash before lane and then see if I could win from there. So perhaps he's just so confident, Valdez.
I mean,
that's a pretty alpha move if you think about it. I don't even need this cooldown.
It's definitely alpha. It would have been better if he did it right in front of the enemy team and he said, look at this, I don't even have flash. Punish me. Come get me in the jungle. And, you know, if it was the Nunu that was trying to shut down the Kindred and counter jungle and do that, it may have mattered. But the slave Nunu in the jungle, the flash doesn't really matter after all.
Yeah, he does spare his blushes. We've had Exhaust heal Nunu run around the Rift once this season. So
I like it.
I don't know. Maybe he was just frustrated that he didn't get a heal, so he just wasted his flash.
Yeah.
We have to make these wanderings because we did have that crazy moment as first buy comes in from Ruler. He doesn't want to deal with this Zoe rubbish, and he's rushing his way towards ostensibly a Hex Drinker.
That's what the two items would build into. You'd have to think that he is picking that up. And meanwhile, Haru just having his run of the jungle, looking for another mark here is, oh, he misses the smite and it goes over to Songyun. It's actually a big mistake. You definitely do not want to give up that mark at this point in the game.
And interestingly, Fly did not buy a tier on his first back. He's got 2 Sapphire Crystals. You know, that's more mana early, so I guess you could do more damage with it, but I feel like we've had to squint at least 3 things this game, more than you might expect.
Yeah, you know, a lot of squinting going on here for us. Kind of hard to see what's going on. The flash on in, and the Karthus ultimate means Ruler is going to go down. First blood goes over to Songyun, hitting level 6 just on time.
Well, the last of the AD carries got dunked. Only way to put it, they had level 6 already on the Karthus. The fun in the funnel is returned by the Requiem. And goodbye, Ruler. Double summoners, triple summoners down in the bottom lane.
Even the Guardians healed, even everything that Rakan could do to help him out, the heal coming through, it didn't let him win in the end. He just gets caught by the trouble bubble under the turret, and that was enough to take him out. You can see what's happening, the power of this kind of composition. Lava just using that extra flash he picked up to push him out of lane. Let's take a look at that again.
Remember, he is full health. He even had overshield on before this started, and then he's dead because Core JJ walked away, and unfortunately, his Bae, Desire, she goes down. What a lot of fun it is to lane against the Zoe and Leona lane.
Ruler at level 4, he did have his flash. But,
there's never been a game quite like this, Valdez.
He moved into nearly melee range against a Zoe, so you would have to think, he's trying to sidestep the trouble bubble. I get it, but putting yourself into that position in the first place, generally not a good idea against that much CC.
Oh, Karthus has a 6-minute finished Runic Echo. Holy moly.
The actual dream.
Now he
for
doesn't
this
even
Karthus.
need his friend Nunu. He clears the jungle forever.
This might be the first game we're going to have here, because I know that while this was really popular in the beginning of summer, Karthus was something like 0-6, right? It was seeing no success. This might be the first game where we see the reason why teams were picking it so much in the beginning, because if the Karthus gets ahead like this, then you begin to have a bit of a problem. We're sitting here just over 7 minutes, 84 CS, he gets first blood too. He is going to have so much gold. You have no idea what's going to happen.
Again, to be clear, the change, though, was that before you would get a big amp on the ability power, 40% bonus AP, but capped. Now it's 20%, so you can get to the same value, but Karthus needs to be stronger. The Nunu buff provides less early.
Yeah.
Because of the percentage scaling, so the Nunu part definitely helps him less, but eventually it will reach the same equilibrium. And there is some AP scaling, but probably doesn't matter, because probably not going to see any Nunu AP come out this game.
Yeah, you know, I wouldn't expect it. I wouldn't hold my breath, Papa. Lava, here we go. This is what happens. Okay, never mind, nothing happens. If the Leono's level 6, maybe then something happens. But CoreJJ with Cleanse still available. Says, no, well, you can't kill me. You got to go for Ruler. And there it is, the flash in. And even the ultimate Ruler doesn't have his to get out of there. But actually, Lava burns his stopwatch and is not able to do much in the fight.
Nicely played by CoreJJ. The interrupt there was really, really important. The stopwatch, like you mentioned, was another in a littering of failed button presses. Can we just pause and check out these keyboards? I don't know what's going on
today. It's definitely very weird. This is not normal. And, well, okay, they're going for the engage this time. You can see just how confident Lava and Key are in the bottom side. Looking for that paddle star. Unfortunately, minions are going to shut down that dream.
Ruler is having just the littlest fun. Look at this, another zoning Hex Flash just to threaten a Zenith Blade. He used ult to proc the Xayah ultimate, in case you guys are wondering. So bot lane seems like a disaster in terms of at least the fun experience.
Yeah. I mean, even if you don't kill them, you just push them out of lane, because now no cleanse on the Rakan, no ultimate flash or heal on Ruler means that they essentially have to give up that one wave and back before they can do anything. So ahead in the lane in the bottom side by just a bit is the Zoe and the Leona, but really the star performer in this game is the 123 CS Karthus at 9 minutes and 40 seconds. We'll see just how out of hand this Karthus can get.
I don't know. I've never seen a Nunu blow flash at level 1 with no threat and play better than Songwon has. So I think he's also a trailblazer about us. He's got his flash back up. You won't even expect this one at all.
You think it's just down the whole time. Haru, you know, he's trying his best to do something on a real jungler, and he is just having fun at this point. Haru trying to take that ridiculously early Rift Herald. Not sure if he actually wanted to go for it, but right after 10 minutes comes in. He's in the pit looking for it. 60 damage.
I wonder what that was. A snowball on an auto, perhaps? Level 1 snowball doesn't do a lot of damage.
I think it's like 30 damage or something. Okay, Lava's just soloing Ruler here, trying to flash forward. Gets the flash out of Ruler in the end.
That's actually a really good trade.
It's awesome.
They can just Zenith Blade and just wait for the feathers to fly, or ult, and then wait for the feathers to fly.
I mean, they just have total control over the spot lane. You can see just how far back they're playing. The ultimate is ready to go here from Key, and oh, if he hit that, CoreJJ with no cleanse probably was going to die. Fly here with the phase rush is going to shake off that exhaust and back away. Someone looks like he's going to die, and the Gen.G fans go wild. As finally, on the board now is Gen.G.
Confirmation his flash was available. Chose not to use it. There's always better times, Valdez. In the bot lane.
Yeah.
Ooh. So if you're wondering why this game has gone this way outside of the things we can't explain, do remember that Ryze had a lot of nerfs to wave clear, so Karthus had a very long leash to just clear camps and not get pushed in. That's why we see a huge amount our farm onto Sangyun. Weird that Sangyun is the Karthus player, but that's how things go these days.
Sangyun's level 10, by the way. Getting close to level 11. This is definitely a level you want to keep your eye on. Okay, they want to start a fight here. Linderock going for Haru. He's just going to flash and hop over the wall. To flash in, though, they really want to kill this Kindred here. Lavender Spite is going to get off, but there is just no help from the rest of his allies. Down he does go. At least they were able to take that Rift Herald.
This is a 5-man rotation from Hanwha Life, and all they get is a kill and lose the Rift Herald. So it seems #not worth on this one unless they can make a map play. They seem to be backing away. The bloodlust is real, and we can compliment them on it, but the play seems very half-baked.
I mean, you give a lot of space over to Ruler in the bottom side, too, to just push in a wave, get a very nice back. They give away the objective. They don't collapse early enough.
The why is the question I have. Why are we ultra diving onto the Kindred after Rift Herald is down? Ruler's just asked the same question, says, screw this, and goes back to the bot lane to pushing. Okay, this game has probably been the most insane 13 minutes we've had.
You know, amongst all the crazy amount of games you've had to cast recently, it's nice to have a very entertaining one like this, rather than the bit of a snooze fest we had in Game 1 of the earlier series tonight. And now he's level 11 with a Morellonomicon. So that's probably half of Ruler's health, if not more, in the ultimate right now. He does have the Hex Tech, or rather the Hex Drinker, though, so that's going to be very important and a good pickup here for Ruler for surviving.
AD carries are always very proud of their items. You can think of previous metas where people wouldn't give up item choices. For example, Double Lift in the early Vayne days was a Bloodthirster-only rush, and Blade the Ruin King, which we saw in Korea, he was very slow to pick it up, thought it was trash. You know that Ruler is tilted, that he has to rush a more, but right now he's got most of a more of Malmortius and Merc Treads as the Xayah. Inelegant, I guess is what I would say about the build, but necessary against the just huge amount of magic damage. However, if Linderon can do his best super carry Doinbeat performance, who knows? Maybe she'll have some physical damage to respect as well.
Yeah. You think about what you can do against a Karthus that's about to hit 200 CS in 14 minutes, and certainly the Kindred pick that did come in the later stages, actually. Not before the Karthus, but actually, or rather, not after the Karthus, but before the Karthus, so they didn't know about it just yet, but Lamb's Respite, if it's timed well and your whole team gets inside it, it can help you in trying to survive, but again, it's a very idealistic scenario where you're trying to save everybody on your team against the one ultimate.
He's going in again.
Oh, the Panel Star is going to miss, though. Lava not in range, and, well, we can see how much damage it does.
A lot.
It's a lot, especially to Kortejay and Haru, who don't have any. What the? What is going on, man? I don't even know what to say. What the? He's just having his fun, and now he's gonna die. It doesn't even matter. Kortejay disappears afterwards, and it really doesn't matter. Haru is gonna have the Lavender Spite here. You don't really see it there as a little bit of a visual bug comes in, but Juve, at least he has the stopwatch. But look at the damage that Sangyun is putting on. He's out of mana though, but he is gonna be saved by Lava in the end. What a game we have tonight.
Are we sure Songwon is in the booth? Did we not just pick someone randomly from the crowd to sub in for the Nunu?
It's the ref.
He just flash snowboarded someone who was more than a second of channeling into the Realm Warp. What is that going to do, Valdez? It doesn't interrupt the channel.
I feel like he's literally like, okay, I put the Blood Boil onto the Karthus. I've done my job. Now I can have fun. Let's go ahead and just, let's go int. Why not?
Let's watch the replay of this super play. The two flashes Songwon has used have been both incredible. This is sadly after his amazing outplay on the flash snowball. And this is Linderon coming from a flank. Exactly what you want to see on the Kled. They have a lot of damage early. They're able to bully away Fly and Ruler. So much of the damage is trivialized because they can't get to the fight.
Oh.
This is a video game. If there's ever been one, this is one of them.
This is definitely one of them. I mean, Karthus is sitting in 3 people, and everybody has to run away. It's 223 CS, 16 minutes, and he's level 13 with 2 items. By the way, he has a lot of gold. We'll see what he does pick up when he does eventually go back. He's been on these 2 items for the last 4 or so minutes. So
I think Sorcerer's Shoes would be nice, but maybe you don't go there. There's actually an insane amount of magic resist on the enemy team already. See what Ruler does by. It could just be Stormrazor with a Hex Drinker. How much damage did Nunu do? Yeah, 237.
Yeah.
They never got the Drake, Hanwha Life, despite picking up the kills. They had to back away. Everyone was on Slivers.
You never want to be on Slivers. Sounds like a bad place to be. It does look like they will pick up this Drake eventually. Guys, can we please take the Drake already? Thank you. Gen.G gonna pick up their second of the game.
This has been a funny game.
Yeah, I've been having fun with this one. Sork Boots and the needlessly large rod was the pickup here for the Karthus, for you guys who were not looking at the items.
He's certainly decked out. He is ready to roll on this Karthus. The Zoe, quietly, 3-0-2 from all the great Leona plays we've seen from Key. What happens next? Will Key go on and build... what will he build, I wonder? Zeke's Convergence seems insanely low value, although maybe the Nunu will flash in for some Zeke's Convergence autos.
Yeah.
Not the strangest thing. Maybe not even top 3 strangest thing that happened this game.
Yeah. Looks like he's building towards a... What is that item? Redemption. Definitely will help out.
You know what's the best thing about Redemption for this Nunu?
Yeah.
After he dies, he can still use it.
Yeah. Doesn't matter if he's dead. It's actually the perfect item.
Exactly.
Yeah. Picking his items well here is Sungwon.
You just got to know which side your bread's buttered on, you know?
You just have to imagine, like, your coach is like, okay, son, you're going to be on the Slave Nunu tonight. And someone's just like...
In that case.
I mean... Do you mind if I flash at level 1 and, in general, just troll the entire game? It's not going to matter, right? Coach is like, yeah, go ahead. It's fine.
Let's rate his flashes. We're going to have to order them after the series. 1 and 2 have been bangers, so I'm ready for number 3.
Yeah, off the charts for sure. Some of the best flashes we've had here in the LCK. Linderong is actually having trouble in the top lane against Mundo. Low-key, just off to the side. Nobody really cares about that matchup so far.
The Kled can get item timings, but its execution is going so awkward for Kled that has interrupted the Titanic Hydra. He also has had never a jungler topside because they don't really have one. So, unfortunately, Linderong has been just taking a lot of harass from the Mundo and not being able to return it. I think he's much more about the teamfight flanks than anything else.
Now, Kive did go down in the one fight earlier. We'll see if he can actually put a stop to the Karthus. Maybe he can try to zone him. I'm not sure that the Karthus is really going to care, even if he does die in the fight. You know, that's part of the reason why Karthus is great, because you can build him extremely squishy, and it just does not matter.
That's why when you were talking about the Lamb's Respite usage, I think it's actually really hard to use Lamb's Respite against Karthus unless you pick him at the start of a fight, because otherwise you're at 300 health after the heal and die to Defile or some of the Skittles. The wall will screw you over, so there's not a lot of good ways to fully disengage. But yes, in the ideal circumstance where he ults after a fight had ended.
It's very idealistic, right? On paper, you might think, oh, it's the perfect counter. It just doesn't kill us. But
also, Kindred has the most no items at the moment, so not even a Hex Drinker to her name. So it's going to have to be an early ult.
Interesting about that QSS that he did pick up.
Well, he does get just owned by Trouble Bubble and the Leona pretty hard. So
get
you
some extra MR, right?
Just an awkward time to pay the tax. You don't feel good about buying the QSS in this particular point. Karthus should have Death Cap on his next back and will be super duper scary. But is there an amount of magic resist where Karthus and Zoe can be answered? Because right now the Kled is not having the impact you might expect.
I was waiting for someone to flash forward. Hey, that could have been a kill, you know, one snowball and maybe just Songyun comes in and kills him.
But the genius now Sungwon is, if he ever actually pulls off an aggressive play with the flash, no one will see it coming.
I mean, you know, could definitely work out for him. In the end, the Karthus will be the hero of the fight when actually it was Sungwon's perfect flash engage.
Let's have a look. 445 AP. Sungwon wants to give him. Come on, give him the Blood Boil to give us the real number. Oh no, Sungwon's too fast. There we go. 575.
He got nerfed, but not that much.
His ult does 831 damage, but his magic resists, so the numbers will be lower.
Yeah.
That'll be scary.
He definitely does have a lot of penetration amongst the Merlinomicon and the Sork boots, but even so, it's going to factor in. You do have the Seraph's Embrace for the Rise as well. Just having him survive and do that sustained mage damage in the fights is going to be very important.
You can see the skill order from the Nunu. I assume many points in W. Not sure about Q. As I'm thinking about their Baron threat. Karthus does a very fast Baron, but doesn't have too many friends, as Kled is unlikely to be there to auto it with him. Indorong's ahead in levels, but doesn't really have an all-in chance onto the Mundo. See if that changes with the Titanic Hydra when that's complete.
Yeah, so far he's just been trying to go even and farm, and it's just been a super-duper farm lane, everybody's favorite.
He honestly needs to be big in these team fights. The only consistent damage right now is magic, and he doesn't have...
Oh, boy.
The marksman is... Uh-oh.
Bit of a mistake here by Key. He's
Baron?
forced to flash away. Can Baron kill him? Ooh, that is very close. And after all that, had to blow the flash and the exhaust, actually, onto the Xayah just to survive while cleaning out that control ward. Didn't even get the control ward in the end.
And now Xayah has so much relative safety compared to the threat of the Flash Zenith Blade. At any moment, they're going to lose the mid lane turret as well. Good moment for Gen.G. They're squaring up the game. Only 1,500 gold to speak of. Lindorong's actually been dismounted off the Skull. On bot side, trading. Didn't even trade ults. Cuvée still has his ult available. So Lindorong not getting much done.
Oh, no.
Might just die.
Lindorong, terrible spot up against this Kindred, is going to get that slow onto him. The flash forward, and it will be the kill over to Haru. Nice little response to go ahead and ignore the Ocean Drake, come on down, knew that he was off Skarl, gets the kill.
Really poor play from Lindorong. Just should have fully disengaged. Could have ulted back to bot lane if he needed to. Instead, gives up his life. They take the turret as well. More life. They're getting rushed now. They're starting to make some very rash decisions, and we're not talking about the Nunu in this particular case. On the bot side, with the heal, Haru going to be happily able to solo down the Drake. Third of the game for Gen.G.
Sion has hit level 16, so his ultimate is going to be doing uber damage in this one. We'll see if it does matter towards the end. Everybody is stacking up that MR. Even the Rakan building into that, but the Spirit Visage up on the top side, the QSS and the external Magic Mantle. All the Merc treads across the board. Funnily enough, the Ninja Tabi, the Mundo actually building for the lane, wants to deal with the Kled once he gets too strong to deal with. Do like the pick, he's going to have enough MR across the board and health anyway to survive.
Here we go. Hanwha Life Esports trying to set up the map here in a better way. We don't have the item still for Lindorong. He seems to really be struggling in the 1v1 that on paper you think of the Kled as a tank buster, but the reason why he's been in the meta recently has been his ability to assassinate backlines. Right now struggling in the matchup against Cuvée. Seeing Sangyun walk up, trying to control and patrol this space around. Nice trouble bubble hits, but Ruler, he's got the more Storm Razors, certainly not a huge build, but he needs it for this game's Haru.
Okay, Haru's going to be caught up here. Nice dash away, though. He's firing onto Key. He's going to just knock him down. Kled goes into the back line, but Haru says, nuh-uh, with the Lamb's Respite. There's the ultimate. Nearly takes out Haru on the back side. Sangyun only ulting in that fight, but you can really feel his presence.
Ruler had to heal to keep his ally alive, so they certainly respect the damage output that could come out. They've DPS'd out Haru. He has to recall. But Hanwha Life don't have the Baron speed to turn onto it, and no Karthus ultimate, and they're going to turn onto their enemies. Actually, they take a breath, they back away. Gen.G overall able to do fine in that particular engage.
Yeah. Well done by Haru, rather. He does know the abilities of the Kindred and what that champion can do, just standing and delivering up against the Leona, even when it did look a little bit dicey for him. He's beginning to get farmed up a little bit. You know, he has built into the Hex Drinker. He does have a Zeal now built on top of him as well.
Watching the replay is in live, it's just a bit more posturing around the mid lane. He goes down for that engage, and like we knew, there was no answering kill onto Haru. The heal, definitely necessary. Heal and battle dance, just to keep Haru alive. Back into live. Hanwha Life, good start, even with all the shenanigans, but Gen.G have just been squarely defending. They haven't given up anymore after they had sacrificed so much in the early game, and the Karthus damage going to be negated by purely MR itemization on the side of Gen.G. A Baron is what Hanwha Life desperately need to find a meaningful lead into this game. Double control ward onto it is curious, but understandable. What happens now as Hanwha Life, they actually start up the Baron.
Now they do have that fast Baron, tons of mana as well on top of Songyun. Let's see what kind of engage they go for the TP behind, and Haru might be in a lot of trouble. There's that burst damage. He's going to cleanse the bubble, but here's the Kled in the back line doing so much to Ruler and CoreJJ, but they do effectively disengage, and he does have to ultimate out of there. Fly was kind of playing guard over here in the bush as well, just zoning everybody out.
And Hanwha Life rushed that one. They didn't have the Karthus ultimate, was about 20 seconds away. And even though they had the ideal teleport ward, it was not the sort of play that was likely to reap maximum results. They take stock of what they have. We know it's just the flash on Haru and very little else in terms of things that have been forced from the side of Gen.G. Hanwha Life back away. In fact, the ward supremacy around Baron squarely on the side of Gen.G.
Yeah, it kind of does feel like Hanwha Life is in this position where they say, hey, we have the OP Karthus super fed, we can do whatever we want. Kind of feels like they're cutting corners a little bit. Got to come in here, you have to clean the vision first, force Gen.G into a rough position while you're ahead, and then turn and take the team fight. But Gen.G, they can see everything. Hanwha Life is just like, no, we'll just take the Baron in front of you because we have this super fed Karthus. Now the Karthus is going to go back, pick up a Void Staff,
yep,
and begin to really hurt. So we'll see if they can just ignore Gen.G and do whatever they want after this kind of itemization.
Going to be at absurd AP values, but we know there's a lot of MR he needs to puncture through, and so many different shields that have been either purchased or innately are on the side of Gen.G. Still, level 18, the Karthus won't get any stronger. His gold lead is really all Hanwha Life have to show over his direct opponent. And Fly is doing fine. He's only about 2,000 gold behind, given how successful the funnel was. That is not a massive amount. Linderong heavily losing these trades in the side lane. The teleport is down this time, so unless they get a pick, difficult for Hanwha Life to repeat the gank they attempted around Baron.
Well, it seems like they're looking for a play towards the mid lane. They do have this Zoe, which, again, very quietly behind the Karthus is trying to pick up her own items. The Void Staff completed, as well as a needlessly large rod and a blasting wand. The old Death Cap builds coming in here. We'll see what he does build those two items into eventually.
Really interesting juncture in the game where Hanwha Life, after getting the funnel off, finishing the game with the funnel, usually needs to involve a Baron as Fly.
Fly says, hello, doesn't seem to care, just stands and delivers, and well, didn't see them coming as he was just running straight into the Zoe Leona bot lane, and he gets punished for it.
Some gaps in the vision, not many, but a couple, and Fly just did not play around information as cleanly as he should have. No escape with Cleanse and Flash now down. This needs to be the Baron for Hanwha Life. These funnel comps usually need the Baron to close a game.
You can see the blue buff on a Songyun. He's just destroying this Baron right now. CoreJJ looking for that engage, and Haru looking for the steal. Pushing forward, he takes so much damage just by one Q. Is he going to hop over once again? They zone out Cube, and it's actually going to go over to Zoe here. Haru getting so low, and here's the ultimate, but the flash over by Lava even, and CoreJJ nearly going to go down here to the trouble bubble after the ultimate. They try their best, but Hanwha Life pick up the Baron.
That Baron goes to the side of Hanwha Life. So much happened. Haru tried to flash over and Lamb's Respite to keep the Baron alive. Didn't actually get it in range. The Baron dies before he can make the play. The smite was always going to be higher from Songyun because he's level 18. It was really close, but man, the Requiem did just absurd damage on the back end. So watch what happens here. Haru tries to jump over to try to contest as the Mountain Drake is taken picture-in-picture. He has to go out. Lamb's Respite does work on Baron if you get it in the AoE. He flashes in too late. Flash Lamb's Respite is to keep the Baron alive. Isn't able to do that. Even though it kills no one, through a locket, it almost one-shots CoreJJ.
CoreJJ not having the most fun game this time around. He's desperately trying to build more MR after that fight. Has a stopwatch too. He's like, I will not die. in the next fight. But man, very scary now as Hanwha Life, you mentioned, if they get the Baron, this might be lights out. We'll see how they do go for the push here. The Zoe Karthus combination is really beginning to do a number to Gen.G.
They have the Baron now that we know they needed. They have no true siege. They have poke, but not actually turret damage easily when it comes to the range of these champions. They push up again. A dive would be risky. I don't think they want to do that, but Linderung finally with the Baron doesn't have to respect Cuvée and the amount of stall the Mundo has put on so far this game.
Yeah, Linderung finally happiness found in this game. Looking for that Zoe trouble bubble. Gen.G very respectful at this point in time. They know that they cannot fight against Hanwha Life right now, even perhaps with a perfect engage. So just have to try to stop the bleeding, clear the minion waves. But even then, such high AP values, and you can see how much damage they're doing to the turrets.
That continues to push on the top side. Hanwha Life may have to go for the Rambo dive that could actually turn this game around. They put down the wall. They try to poke in. Notice it's the minions doing all the damage to the structures. Okay, engaged by CoreJJ.
Gonna get onto the Zoe here, and they pop them like a balloon. The Lamps Respite is gonna keep everybody alive. Sangyun is so low, but they do keep him alive in the end. Here comes Linderung, is gonna take out Haru, and the ultimate will get CoreJJ. The rest of Gen.G is very healthy at this point, though, and Ruler still alive. Gonna be able to take out Linderung, and against Baron, they stand tall, and Gen.G are still in this game.
Really good assertive move by CoreJJ during that siege. Breaks it from the side of Hanwha Life, and being able to cancel out the Baron buffs, which was so necessary to really get the siege on, is big for the team of Gen.G. Watch the replay here. This is always going to be the time. A hard line for this inhibitor turret, but CoreJJ flashes in. Of course, the portal jump is very predictable timing. They assassinate the Zoe, and this is where they understand that with Sangyun DPS'd out, there's a lot of members for them to turn on and fight front to back with their AD carry.
Yeah, you can see CoreJJ dies on the back foot, but it doesn't really matter. He did his job. He gets the Zoe. Sangyun not able to get into that fight, and Ruler finally finding some space to do his damage in the back line. All that MR that he did build is really coming in handy now.
He's definitely needed the space. He's been choked out of this game by both the lane assignment, the Karthus having so much ability power. It has been a very tricky game to play the marksman in, as so many different people have found out. The Heimerdinger warps the bot lane. We've seen Brand as the carry in the bot lane. So much crazy stuff has happened that being able to play so many different matchups may not be up to the champions yourselves, but definitely testing different parts of the gameplay of the usual bot lane mechanics.
Yeah, you can see the damage here. Definitely tells the story of the fight. 168 for the Zoe means that it was probably just her W doing damage to the Rakan as he moved in. And that's not what you want out of your Zoe. If she's doing consistent 2,000, 3,000 damage, Hanwha Life should be winning the fights.
Turning to the scene of the crime. This time, no flash onto CoreJJ. Does have plans.
Trying to knock down Ruler here. They forced the Featherstorm early. Ruler taking a lot of damage on the back foot to that one. Down goes the turret. Just a couple of autos there. And now they're looking for this inhibitor. Meanwhile, Linderung off the screen. Exhaust onto Haru, and all of a sudden he has to cleanse and back out of that one. Gonna blow his QSS. Looks like Hanwha Life should be able to take this one, but very, very slow about it. Safety first is the name of the game here for Hanwha.
Well, Sangyun's the one that has to auto-attack, but so difficult. Here we go.
Look at that Q on a fly. He takes so much damage. Sarah's Embrace is going to be procced here. Another Q on a Ruler, and there's the ultimate coming in here from Linderung. The Lamps are spiting a huge amount of damage from the Karthus. It's just going to zone everybody out, and Lava on the Zoe is able to do that follow-up damage. Down goes the Mundo, and Hanwha Life finally find their team fight.
Yeah, this time they couldn't pick off the Zoe, which means she's able to put out the damage that Karthus needs to just finish off a couple of kills. Teleport going to come in from Linderung. Hanwha Life want to finish the game on this push.
You got 45 seconds here on the Mundo, so they're confident that they can do it. It's going to be up to Fly and Ruler. They also have Haru here, but no Lamps or Spite. They want to go into the dive, and down he does go. Where did that damage even come from? Unbelievable. and having to flash into the base now as Ruler just out of the fight. It looks like Hanwha Life has finally done it. They are going to take out the Nexus here, or trying to at least. Down goes the Nunu and the Karthus. Got to auto it a couple more times, and there it is. They finally decide to stop killing champions and kill the Nexus. Game number 1 to Hanwha Life.
There's never been a professional game quite like Game 1 of Hanwha Life Esports versus Gen.G. They went for the mid lane return of Nunu Karthus, Sungyun flexing his way over. It wasn't Rogue Warriors, even though the Karthus would smite and the Kled was in the game. But by the end, because the timings were there from the Karthus, we saw one emergency engage from Core JJ stall out the game, but they returned to the scene of the crime. When Karthus could get autos in, he was doing about a third of the turret's health every auto. Sungyun last time against Gen.G, 14-0-1 on the funneled mid lane Kai'Sa. This time it's the Karthus. The result is still the same. Game 1 to Hanwha Life.
Definitely not what we were expecting coming into this one. You see the Xayah Rakan, you're like, oh, maybe they can go for a funnel here. Hanwha Life's like, nah, we're the team that's funneling, and we are going to win this one. Karthus doing unbelievable damage. Sungyun was laughing his head off in the booth after that game. You could tell he was having fun on the Karthus. Definitely something you could try with your friend if you have a friend that's willing to play the Nunu with you.
And what a friend he had in Songwon.
Oh, yeah.
One of the most notable victories of all times for interesting reasons. He had one job. You could tell because everything else was a bit all over the place. But he pressed W on that Karthus real good.
I didn't actually see him ult one time. He didn't have any AP. It didn't matter. He didn't have any Zeeks or anything like that, of course. All he had to do was put his W on the Karthus, and he did his job. So, guys, very curious to see what's going to happen in Game 2, but first we'll have to go to a quick commercial break. We'll be right back with Game number 2.
안녕하세요. 2018 LCK 썸머 스플릿에 다시 돌아온 LOL 신문 10답의 박지선입니다. 오늘은 새로운 이름과 함께 더욱 멋진 경기력으로 돌아온 팀 젠지의 보듀오 룰러 선수와 코어 장준 선수가 함께합니다.
안녕하세요. 저는 젠지에서 언디를 맡고 있는 룰러 박재욱이라고 합니다. 반갑습니다.
안녕하세요. 저는 젠지 스포츠의 서포터 코어장전 조용인입니다. 개인 연습으로 살짝 휘둘러 봤는데 꽤 아프더라고요. 그래서 고통을 최대한 줘보도록 하겠습니다.
Let's get started. First, you guys officially rebranded to Gen.G, right? So can you introduce your team and yourself?
My name is Jaeok Park. My team name Gen.G. Hello.
So you guys participated in 2018 Asian Games as Korean national players. So how did that feel?
기분이 어때요?
Feels so good.
Any message for the fans or the Korean fans?
이름 생각날 거야.
열심히 하겠습니다.
Do you know there's a really famous meme about you? So there's a picture in the World's Final. You won.
이거 장면 아는지.
yes.
What are your thoughts about that?
그 사진을 보고 굉장히 창피했고 다음부터는 절대 그러면 안 되겠다라는 생각을 했습니다. 이거 슬슬 바꿀
This is a start of Summer Split, which is really important to get qualified for the World Championship, right? So, is there anything you want to say to your fans?
We go world.
Then, is there any last message you want to say to your teammates?
그냥 저랑 같은 화장실에 쓰는 사람들이 있는데
그런데
화장실 좀 깨끗하게 같이 썼으면 좋겠어요. 수건을 막 떨고 놓는다든지 막 좀 냄새가 나서 화장실에 좀 눈 좀 보고 이걸 보면은 좀 깨끗하게 썼으면 좋겠습니다. 죄송합니다.
So who's responsible for that?
LC she.
Okay.
야 진짜 쓰러져. 맞으면 진짜 오늘 정신 나가겠다.
There are a lot of fans supporting for you guys. So is there any message for them?
At first, I really thank you for always cheering us. So I'm gonna try my best for win. So please keep cheering me and our team.
Okay. Then any other message for your teammates?
This is just started, so we.
오, 마야.
인형이지. So, I hope we will do our best until season end.
In the ruler's turn, he kind of had a bad comments about his teammates using the toilet. So, but you're a supporter for him, so you should be like taking good care of him, right?
Yeah.
So, is there any message for ruler?
Because because Lula is our king, god, general. Wait, king, god, general, emperor, player of our team. So he's low.
At law.
Low.
His words are law.
Yeah, his words are low.
How do you like your king, god, general, emperor, ruler name?
만족. 아?
Satisfied.
Very satisfied. Very good.
여기까지 젠지 e스포츠의 코어 장전 룰러 선수와 함께했습니다. 안녕.
재미있는 이런 신문 십답에 해서 좀 즐겁고 제가 좀 맞다가 때리니까 좀 상당히 기분이 좋네요. 또 이런 자리 있으면은 한 번 더 불러주시면 정말 감사하겠습니다.
원없이 때리면 재혁이 내일 게임 못할까봐 적당히 조절을 잘 한 것 같아요. 그리고 되게